country and we the people on UST Party Radio.
Welcome to UST Party Radio, God, Country, and We the People, with Bill Gruber and Kaz Taylor.
Today we're going to have the insights of a congressional insider in the U.S. Congress, Representative Devin Nunes, and he joins us. Congressman, how are you today?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks a lot for having me on.
You bet. There's a lot of buzz and activity happening in the Capitol today with the Pledge to America. You've had any interface with that yet?
Yeah, I mean they just had the press conference this morning, and it's going to be interesting to see how the American public takes it.
What are you seeing on the faces of the Democrats when those things are brought to surface?
Well, the Democrats are in a lot of trouble. I mean, let's face it. I mean, they've done just about everything against the will of the American people, and this centralization of government in Washington has got to end. And that's kind of why I wrote the book I wrote, Restoring the Republic, because of the problems that we face as a country, and I think we got to think big to change the direction of this country.
You're speaking about problems with the country, but you come from the San Joaquin Valley area, and you have some exclusive problems of your own that are experiencing some legislative stymie. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, basically, one of the reasons why I wrote this book was because I wanted to make sure that people knew what happens under government control. So the San Joaquin Valley, where I'm from, we have anywhere from 20 to 40% unemployment in some communities where they've shut down entire industries. And so if you look at the latest thing that they did is they basically shut our water off, and we idled hundreds of thousands of acres of farm ground in the most productive farm region in the world.
Yes.
And so it's scary stuff, and I think it's important the American people know what's happening in California is being exported to Washington, and these are policies they're trying to basically have take place over the entire country.
Interested to see the temperature of what's going on in Washington, D.C. I presume that you're calling us from Washington, D.C., Congressman?
Yeah, I'm actually calling you from the floor of the House of Representatives right now.
Oh, we're so honored. Tell us a little bit how the complexion across the aisle is in this election cycle. Are these? You have a lot of friends on both sides of the aisle, no doubt. What are you sensing?
Well, they're in full panic mode right now. I mean, I mean, there's just, none of them are safe. So, I mean, except for the far left wing that are in, inner cities where they have overwhelmingly Democratic majorities. But I think there are 100 seats, Democratic seats, that are in play. So, I mean, we won't win all of those, but we have a good shot, and I think we have a really good chance to take back the House of Representatives.
This really is not only a wake-up call for the Democrats. Talk about how it might be a wake-up call for moderate Republicans or Republicans who are what we call rhinos, Republicans in name only.
I think it's not so much, quote-unquote traditional moderate Republicans that are in trouble. I think it's the folks that are really in trouble are the ones that supported the first bailout. Because the bailout was the gateway to stimulus bills and Obama health care and the takeover car companies and everything else that happened. Because it made it okay, and it made the American people accept it for a little while. And it's really this convergence of big business, big government, and the radical left is a big problem for this country. And I think any of the Republicans that got tangled up in that bailout have had to renounce it, and hopefully they've realized the error of their own ways.
Let's talk a little bit about the Tea Party and the influence that it's having on the cycle this time around. The Democrats put the face on that the Tea Party are really tea baggers and certainly don't have as much influence as everyone would want to believe. But what is your take behind the scenes? What do the Democrats actually feel when you speak to them on a one-to-one basis?
Well, I mean, they make fun. At first, they made fun of the Tea Party folks, and they tried to put a label on them as if they were like an arm of the Republican Party, and they were being put up to this. And what they didn't realize is that the Tea Party is made up of a lot of different groups, and quite frankly, a lot of people who've never been involved in politics. I had a Tea Party rally in my district on July 4th of last year, and nearly 20,000 people attended, and it was never covered by the media, not even the local media. And I have to imagine that's one of the bigger Tea Party events that it was held regionally, and there was no coverage. People just ignored these folks, and I said they did it at their own peril.
It's a good thing for everybody in power, would you agree to realize that they have to be held accountable? I mean, that revelation needs to be of value. And let me ask you this question more pointedly. You as a congressperson, have you had to revisit your morality and your perspective, too, from a constitutional standpoint, to keep yourself accountable so that you could be accountable to others? You personally.
Well, I like to think, and in my book I write about this, that I was one of the few guys that was standing up at the time during the bailout. There were very few of us that stood up during the bailout, even Republicans. Even Republicans that voted against the bailout, they didn't speak out against the bailout. Mm-hmm. And I was one of just a handful that actually organized a whip organization to try to kill the first bailout, and we were successful on the first go-around. But by the second go-around, we ended up losing. That basically ushered in the bailout bill, which is now called TARP. So, I like to think that, and that's why I think it's important that the truth get out there, because there were some of us that were standing up against big government and big business and the radical left all merging together at once. And I like to make sure that I'm on the right side of history. So I like to think that that I'm putting forth my ideas. I put them out there for everyone to see. Some of them are my ideas, some of them are other folks' ideas, but we have good ideas back here, and there's a lot of good people that are trying to do the right thing for the country, and hopefully we just get that message out.
You've made the statement restoring the republic. When you talk about restoring the republic, what needs to be restored?
Well, what I say is I named my book that's the title of my book that I wrote because I wanted folks to understand that we're supposed to have a republic form of government, meaning that people that believe in individual liberty and rights would first look to their local government, like their county or their city or their, and then finally their state government. And never should they be having to look to the federal government for everything under the sun like they do today. I mean, any problem now at a local level, people call their congressman,
yes.
Which is not the way the government's supposed to work.
Right. It starts from the grassroots, and only when you can't solve the thing on a local or a state level, you go to the federal government. That's how it was built in the beginning. And so
right.
Let me ask you this question. As a citizen, there's a lot of everyday citizens that listen to this show that are out there doing, just believing in the Constitution and freedom, the various freedoms. What can they do from your perspective as a congressperson to help forge the blueprint for Americans' future?
Well, I think they have to hold their representative accountable. So even if, first of all, there's a few Democrats, a handful that have voted against all the bad bills, but very few. And then, so if they're in a Democratic district where you have someone that voted for TARP, voted for bailouts, voted for Obamacare, they need to be replaced. And you got to go to their town halls, you got to go wherever they show up, and you need to question them as to why they made these bad votes. And that's got to get done. And so that's the first step. And the second step is whoever they're going to vote for, make sure they put their beliefs in writing. So, basically tell them what they believe in.
Well said. Bill?
We're talking with Representative Devin Nunes, and wrote a book called Restoring the Republic. And give us a little information as to where we might find the book and your website and contact and that kind of thing.
Well, sure. It was published by WorldNet Daily. So you just go to worldnetdaily.com, WND.com. It's on Amazon and everywhere else.
Have you had any more of a personal communications with Nancy Pelosi, or is she kind of distant and unattendable?
Well, I write about it in my book, a run-in that I had with her, and it's been very scary. I mean, I'm from California, so I've dealt with these people very closely, and you quickly realize that these folks have no belief in the individual. They only believe in power, and they believe they should have it, and they believe they can control everyone's life.
Well, and knowing Nancy Pelosi as you know her, what might she be thinking right now? Has she kind of disregarded this stuff and still going her normal way, or is she threatened a bit? We've got about 40 seconds. I'm sorry to put you on such a short leash.
I could just, I don't think I need 40 seconds to answer it. I'm not sure that they know what's going on. I really don't. I mean, I think they live in a different world than most Americans do. I mean, Washington's being controlled by San Francisco and Hollywood, and people better be careful.
Well, Congressman, we appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
Congressman Devin Nunes, and has a book, Restoring the Republic. You can find it at worldnetdaily.com, and we just appreciate it. We want you to fight the good fight. Keep it going out there for not only California, but for our nation, and let's take this country back to where it belongs.